Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week International. Representatives from Australia's Northern Territory Police say that one of the country's most wanted fugitives is successfully in custody this week after he was found hiding in the hull of a yacht while attempting to flee the country. According to reports, 32-year-old Mark Horn had been the subject of a nationwide manhunt since late last year when he was released on bail for the 2020 shooting of a truck driver during a robbery in the town of Lithgow, New South Wales. Authorities apparently believed that Horn could be safely released ahead of his trial with strict bail conditions, despite his alleged ties to organized crime. On the morning of October 21, 2022, Horn reportedly got into an Uber in the Sydney suburb of Riverwood. Police now allege that sometime during that trip, the 32-year-old cut off his ankle monitor and exited the vehicle, which continued westbound while Horn traveled north to the suburb of Bankstown. Authorities believe that he then chartered a flight at the local airport, ending up in Queensland before continuing to travel across the country using fake IDs. While a nationwide search was launched following Horn's disappearance, his whereabouts were unknown until this week. He was finally recaptured at around 5:20 p.m. on January 25th, when members of the Australian Border Force discovered him hiding on a luxury yacht in the city of Darwin. The yacht was reportedly due to depart from the Cullen Bay Marina and was bound for somewhere in Indonesia. Horn was apparently found concealed in the hull of the vessel, nestled between some fuel tanks and pipes, and was clutching a vape. At the time of this recording, Horn remains in custody and is awaiting extradition back to New South Wales. 2 other men who were on the boat and who are accused of trying to help Horn flee the country were also arrested. However, their names have not yet been released. Authorities in the Indian state of Tamil Nadu say that a 25-year-old wannabe action star found out the hard way that movies aren't like real life this week when he was arrested while allegedly trying to rob a bank after being inspired by a recent film. The whole thing started earlier this month with the release of a Tamil-language film called Thunavu. The movie, whose title roughly translates to Fortitude in English, stars celebrated Indian actor Ajit Kumar, and is reportedly an action thriller about competing gangsters embroiled in a deadly rivalry over high-stakes bank robberies. While Thunavu does admittedly sound quite interesting from what we've read online, according to police, it had a particularly large impact on 25-year-old Khalil Rahman. So much so that less than 2 weeks after seeing the movie, he apparently decided to try a bank robbery of his own. On the morning of January 24th, Rahman reportedly showed up at his local branch of the Indian Overseas Bank in the city of Dindigul, as staff were preparing to open for the day. Armed with nothing but pepper spray and a couple handfuls of chili powder, he managed to overpower the 3 employees who were there, before allegedly tying them up with some plastic bags. Unfortunately for Rahman, he wasn't quite as proficient with immobilizing bank employees as his big screen heroes. While he was fumbling around in the back of the business trying to loot the place, one of the staff members managed to break free and promptly ran outside to call for help. Concerned members of the public ran inside, and without the element of surprise, it turned out that Rahman's homemade pepper spray and chili powder weren't all that effective. He was held by the Good Samaritans until police arrived to place him under arrest. While it's unclear whether Rahman has yet been formally charged over the incident, police say that he was motivated by general frustration with his life. If you're a regular viewer of our Crimes of the Week International series, then you might remember that near the end of last year, we brought you the tragic and mysterious case of Liam Smith. The 38-year-old beloved family man and devoted father of 2 was found murdered just yards away from his home in the English village of Shevington on the evening of November 24th. Witnesses found him lying on a path between 2 houses that led to some open fields, and mysteriously, his body appeared to be covered in white powder, with smoke emanating from it. If you'll recall, at the time of our last report, a preliminary investigation had revealed that Liam had died of a gunshot wound. After some analysis, authorities were also able to conclude that the white powder he was covered in was acid. Other than these few details, however, almost no other information was available about the case. That changed this week when Greater Manchester Police announced a major update in the case. In particular, the arrest of a 38-year-old man named Michael Hillier, who has also now been charged with Liam's murder. Though police have not released any details about Hillier or how they managed to connect him to the case, it appears that they are still searching for additional clues. Their main focus at the moment is a dark gray Mitsubishi Shogun Elegance SUV, which was seen parked near Liam's home both on November 2nd and on the day his body was discovered. On that second occasion, authorities say that the vehicle remained parked for roughly 10 hours. While police say that the SUV in question used at least 2 different false registration plates, they are hoping it can be located with help from the public. In particular, investigators are asking people to look out for a vehicle matching the description, which has clear damage to its passenger side behind the rear wheel arch, and may also be missing a cover on its driver's side headlight. Liam's family are also imploring the public to assist police, saying that they still have no idea what could have motivated his senseless and chilling murder. At the time of this recording, the situation is still developing. Representatives from the Philippines National Police Force say that a pair of vloggers were arrested last week after they pulled a strange and stupid prank that wasted valuable police resources. According to reports, the incident took place sometime on January 18th in the municipality of Mawab, in the southern province of Davao de Oro. It began when the 2 content creators, later identified as Jonel Cordero and Arnold Rabi, showed up at a local Green Planet gas station. The pair proceeded to purchase a small amount of gasoline, which they filled into a plastic soda bottle. After getting into place, Arnold reportedly began to film as Jonel appeared to chug the entire container of gasoline in full view of stunned onlookers. He then began to stumble around, fainting several times and vomiting. Understandably disturbed by what they thought they were witnessing, concerned bystanders called the town's Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office for help. They showed up alongside police, expecting to deal with a serious poisoning case. However, when emergency workers approached Jonel to administer first aid, he suddenly burst out laughing. That was when he informed everyone present that they had been pranked. It turned out that the liquid that Jonel had been seen drinking wasn't gasoline. At the last second, he had swapped it out for an energy drink that was approximately the same color and had been held in a different bottle. The whole thing had allegedly been planned by Jonel and Arnold to get views on social media. Hilarious, right? Yeah, apparently police didn't think so. After sharing some choice words with the men about what they thought about their stunt, they promptly placed them under arrest. According to reports, the 2 vloggers have each now been charged with causing alarm and scandal. If convicted, they could be punished with up to 30 days in jail and a fine of 40,000 pesos, or about $735 US. Authorities in the South African province of KwaZulu-Natal say that they are investigating a horrific crime that has sent shockwaves through the country this week after a police officer and his family members were gunned down just yards from their home. According to reports, the incident took place sometime on January 21st, when Roger Mavundla, his wife, and 3 children were returning to their home just outside the resort town of Port Edward. The 49-year-old warrant officer with the South African Police Service had just parked the family vehicle, and they were all sitting in the driveway of their property when they were allegedly ambushed by a group of unknown gunmen. Terrifyingly, the family were left with nowhere to run, as they were fired upon mercilessly by their attackers. By the time police arrived at the scene, sadly, there was little that could be done. Roger, his wife, and their 17-year-old son and 10-year-old daughter were all pronounced dead. The last remaining family member, the couple's 7-year-old girl, was rushed to the hospital, where authorities say that she is currently fighting for her life. While investigators have not released the names of any suspects or an alleged motive behind the brazen killings, unfortunately, violence against police officers is all too common in the country. According to numbers released by the South African Police Service, between just July and September of last year alone, 22 of their members were killed. During visits with the victims' grieving extended family members, high-ranking officials within the police service promised that a special investigation would be launched into this week's incident. However, so far it remains to be seen what, if any, leads authorities currently have in the case. Authorities in the Malaysian state of Negeri Sembilan say that a bumbling would-be burglar is in police custody this week after he allegedly had way too much to drink while on the job, so to speak, and ended up falling asleep in a house he had broken into. According to reports, the incident began at around 6 a.m. on January 23rd, when a 66-year-old man in the town of Bahau named Sin Kong Men awoke to find a stranger passed out in the middle of the floor in one of the rooms of his house. At first, Sin assumed that the guy was a friend of one of his adult children who had simply stayed the night. Kind of weird, but still not out of the realm of possibility. However, when Sin started to look around a bit, he started to notice some things that were amiss. It looked like someone had raided his liquor cabinet, and there was also a random black dog inside his home that didn't belong to him. When Sin looked at the stranger again, he noticed that there was a paper bag lying next to him as well. It contained 2 knife blades, a screwdriver, a Samsung tablet, and 2 more bottles of liquor. Sin recognized the items because all of them belonged to him. That's when he realized that he had been the victim of possibly the world's strangest attempted burglary. It's now alleged that the previous night, the suspect, identified only as a 41-year-old man, had climbed over Sin's fence and came inside through an unlocked door. While in the process of gathering up items he intended to steal, he apparently discovered the family's liquor cabinet and got a little too carried away. Oh yeah, and for some reason, he brought his dog with him for the burglary. After discovering the man on the floor that morning, one by one, Sin and all of the family members in his house tried to shake the 41-year-old awake, to no avail. Even the little dog apparently tried to nudge him out of unconsciousness. However, it was clear that he was still quite drunk from the previous night's escapades. The man was finally awoken by police, who took him to the station for further questioning. At the time of this recording, authorities say that the 41-year-old remains in custody. He is now facing trespassing charges, which are reportedly punishable by up to 5 years in prison. Authorities in southern Spain say that they are investigating terrifying attacks at 2 churches this week after a 25-year-old man wielding a machete killed one person and seriously injured another. According to reports, the incident took place on the evening of January 25th in the historic port city of Algeciras. It began just after 7 p.m. when the suspect entered the church of San Isidro, violently attacking its priest, 74-year-old Antonio Rodriguez. After seriously wounding Rodriguez with the machete in the neck, the suspect fled the scene. The assailant then allegedly continued down the road several hundred yards until he came to a second church, the Church of Our Lady of La Palma. Once again, he proceeded inside, this time destroying church property before attacking one of the building's workers. The victim, later identified as a man named Diego Valencia, reportedly managed to briefly run away from the suspect, though sadly was killed when the man attacked him a second time. Not long after, police arrived at the scene and were able to disarm the suspect and take him into custody. While much of the information surrounding the suspect has yet to be confirmed at the time of this recording, multiple sources we came across identified him as a 25-year-old Moroccan national named Yassine Kanja. These same sources state that Kanja was not supposed to be in Spain at the time of the crime, having been arrested by immigration authorities sometime last year. It's alleged that instead of being held in custody and removed within the 60-day window that Spanish law states, Canja was released and was never sent back to Morocco due to some sort of undisclosed delay. It's unclear if that alleged delay was on the side of Spanish or Moroccan authorities. Though police have not confirmed Canja's identity or these details at the current time, they have said that they are treating this week's attacks as terror-related offenses. The situation is still developing. Authorities in the Colombian capital of Bogotá say that a 35-year-old American man is in custody and awaiting extradition back to Colombia after he allegedly murdered his DJ girlfriend and dumped her body before fleeing the country. According to reports, the incident began at around 2 p.m. on January 22nd, when a homeless man sifting through a large dumpster in Bogotá for recyclables came across a large blue suitcase. The bag had been taped shut and looked suspicious, and when the man opened it, he was horrified by what he found. It was the body of a young woman. Police were quickly called to the scene and confirmed the grisly discovery. It wasn't long before they were also able to identify the victim, a 23-year-old well-known DJ in the area named Valentina Tres Palacios. She had been beaten and strangled to death. When authorities began looking into Valentina's personal life and speaking with her friends and family, they discovered that for the last 8 months she had been involved with a man from the United States. The 35-year-old, subsequently identified as John Poulos, is said to be a Texas resident originally from Wisconsin and had made one of his frequent trips to Colombia just 2 days before Valentina's body was discovered. Not only that, several witnesses who spoke with police told them that Poulos and Valentina had been seen arguing frequently in the days before the 23-year-old's murder. A rideshare driver who drove the couple to a local club in the early morning hours of January 22nd also said that he now believes that Valentina might have been asking him for help, though claims she was fine when he asked her directly. When investigators reviewed security footage around the area where the 23-year-old's remains were found, they allegedly spotted a man matching Poulos' description dumping the blue suitcase. Not long after, they obtained a warrant for his arrest. According to reports, by this time Poulos had fled Colombia and made his way to Panama. Here, he allegedly intended to board a flight to Turkey before continuing on to Montenegro, a country which does not have an extradition agreement with Colombia. In order to throw police off of his trail, Poulos reportedly bought a first-class airline ticket to Brazil alongside his ticket to Turkey. He reportedly paid for both flights in cash to make the transactions harder to trace. Unfortunately for the 35-year-old, though, authorities were able to figure out his alleged plans and arrested him before he could board his flight to Turkey. He's now awaiting extradition to Colombia to face murder charges. At the time of this recording, the motive behind the brutal killing still officially remains a mystery, though it's widely speculated that Valentina may have tried to end her relationship with Poulos prior to her death. Multiple reports also state that the 35-year-old is married back in the United States and has 3 children. The situation is still developing. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a minute to thank our amazing supporters over on Patreon. As many of you are aware, our situation on YouTube always seems to be a bit uncertain, but our patrons help to ensure that we can continue to make content like this long-term without having to worry as much about what surprises might be thrown our way. Plus, patrons also get access to 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. If you'd like to help support the channel directly, head over to patreon.com/crimezone to join. You can also find that link in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and take care.